All right, welcome back, crime fighters. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to help make Calhoun County a better and safer place by helping us lock up the bad guys. I'm Chris Wright, along with John Garlick from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. Good to see you, John.
And you, Chris. Nice to be back from wherever I was.
Enjoying the summer so far?
Yes, it's been unusually hot for this summer. But
sometimes when it gets hot, crime goes up. Have we seen any increase locally?
Well, not so much in what you would expect when the heat goes up. Usually you see an increase in assaults and domestic violence. That's pretty much stayed where it normally is.
Found some wood to knock on. Okay.
Yeah, knock on wood, knock on wood. We expect the July and August period to kick up in some of that stuff. It typically does. If everybody would just get along, it would be wonderful.
Yeah. We have had some folks notice that we've got some inmates out picking up some trash here recently.
We do. We have reactivated, now that we're in the better weather months, we've reactivated our trash trailer. So we have a couple inmates out there under the close personal supervision of a corrections officer or a reserve deputy. They're out with our clearly marked sheriff's office trash trailer. So be careful when you see them on the side of the road, pass them slowly. But they're out there picking up trash, various locations. If the public knows of some place that looks like it needs something trash on the side of the road. Now, we're not picking up people's household garbage, okay? We're not doing that. This is just those areas around the county where the roads, there's just trash, litter, really.
And of course, the best thing we can do to support that effort is don't throw trash out the car windows.
Yeah, don't litter.
And don't have things stuck in the back of our truck beds that are going to fly out.
Right.
All that kind of stuff.
Help us do that. But we're trying to do our little bit. It's not a lot, but it's a little bit of our public service to help keep our roadways looking pleasant.
You've also been picking up some folks from our most wanted list.
We have. We've picked up 7 people last week, bringing our total to 4,414 people arrested since the show aired many, many moons ago.
Over 15 years now.
15 years. Wow, we're a teenager.
All right. So we will have some more folks for you to check out and let us know if you have any information about them. We'll have the first half of this week's lineup coming up in just a few moments. We'll also be telling you about a fun event to help out with homelessness in the area when we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up in our lineup this week, Tiffany McFarlane. Miss McFarlane, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for theft of property 4th. And take a look at Roderick Moss. Mr. Moss, last known to be living in Jacksonville, he's wanted for failure to appear on use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And this is Joe Hilburn. Mr. Hilburn, last known to be living in Ohatchee, he's wanted for bond revocations on possession of a controlled substance, possessing a pistol and being forbidden to do so, and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And we'd like you to meet Bianca Patrick. Miss Patrick, last known to be living in Jacksonville, she's wanted for failure to appear on giving a false name to law enforcement. And here is Karen Abramski. Miss Abramski, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for a probation violation on possession of a controlled substance. And last up for the first half of our lineup, Jacob Presley. Mr. Presley, last known to be living in Piedmont, he's wanted for probation violation on breaking and entering a vehicle and failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance, use and possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a forged instrument first. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
All right, we'll have some more bad guys for you here in just a few minutes. But John, right now, let's talk about something fun that's coming up.
Something fun?
Something fun. You like New Orleans?
I do like New Orleans.
Well, New Orleans is coming to Anniston.
Really?
Yeah. Margaret Roberts is here to talk about it from The Right Place, our board chairman.
Yes, it's let's see, June 22nd, which is a week from Saturday, at Classic on Noble. Starts at 6:30.
It's actually Classic on Bourbon just for the day.
Oh, excuse me, that's right, I forgot.
The city of Anniston has actually renamed Noble Street for just the one day.
That's right.
To be Bourbon Street.
So
on that part of downtown to celebrate the night in New Orleans.
That's right. Well, starts at 6:30 and ends about 10:30. And the really neat thing about this event is that we have a singer pianist coming from Pat O'Brien's, right out of New Orleans.
Really?
Yeah, this is her 3rd year to come for this fundraiser, and it's not like anything, you know, that I've seen around here as far as fundraisers go. So
yeah, when you go down to New Orleans, for folks that enjoy going down there, you go to Pat O'Brien's and you see him out there doing the piano and just having so much fun. Thousands and thousands of people go down there every year and just marvel at how much fun they have. And we're bringing as much of that excitement and fun and spirit as we can to Anniston for a night.
You don't have to go to New Orleans. You can just come to this fundraiser. But the pianist singer's name is oh gosh, just went out the window.
I can't remember it either.
Victoria Amato.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
And she can play and sing anything. And I think the thing I want to make sure that people understand, it's not a stiff kind of event where we're all just sitting there listening to her. No.
Twinkle.
No. You name it, and she loves to take, you know, suggestions from the audience. We've had a few people get up and sing with her, and but it's a lot of moving around. Dinner, of course, and David and Kathy Mashburn do a wonderful job with some New Orleans cuisine, and we'll have a cash bar and an auction. So, but it is probably one of the best events I've been to. Of course, I'm a little bit prejudiced, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's growing. This is our 3rd year, so each year it gets a little bigger, and so I urge people to get their tickets.
You know, Chris has a whole huge bag of beads that he saves.
Don't ask me how I got them.
So he'll bring those. I'm sure he can use them.
Yes. Well, it'll be decorated just like New Orleans, so we'll have the beads and that kind of stuff.
Well, Margaret, this is going to be a fun night, but let's take a step back for a moment, get serious, and talk about why we have to do this, because a lot of people don't think there's a homelessness issue in Anniston and Calhoun County, but there is.
There is. Yes, I was just going to mention the Right Place is a fairly young organization, only been around for maybe 7 years, but there is a huge need. We did they call it a point-in-time count, and we only came up with 65, but the last 3 months, the Right Place has helped about 116 homeless. So the number is much larger than that because, of course, a lot of people don't want to be found. They don't want to be counted, but it is a huge need, and I think all the other agencies are seeing it as well. So, and it takes funding to provide some housing, which we've done. We have 4 small cottages and a duplex right on Circle Drive in Anniston, kind of downtown. But it takes money, of course, to build and then, of course, to maintain.
Yeah, one of the issues with homelessness and the fight against homelessness is not just taking people who are homeless and getting them into a home. It's having resources there for people who are potentially about to become homeless and helping prevent that from happening.
Right. We do a lot of counseling towards that end. When the funding is available, we'll pay first month's rent or deposit, you know, help people either get into a home or to stay in their home. That's a huge thing. But yeah, that is a major thing. So.
It's a terrible problem. You know, we see it from that end because we, of course, do evictions. We get the court orders to unfortunately have to evict people, and it's an ever-increasing problem where we're evicting somebody who they have no family, they've got pretty significant medical issues, and you know we work with DHR. We let them know, hey, we're putting this person out on the street, and they next week, can you get us someplace that she can go or he can go, because it's sad to put somebody severely ill on the street, but it happens.
And our low-income housing here is not what it should be. So that's something, of course, we're working on.
Now, I want to talk about that in a second. We need to take a quick break, but a lot of people don't realize the housing situation that we have here locally and how it affects people in this situation. We will be back in just a few moments. We'll have the second half of this week's lineup and more with The Right Place and Margaret here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, DeAndre Bonds. Mr. Bonds, last known to be living in Weaver. He's wanted for failure to pay child support, the face of a deadbeat dad. And we'd like you to meet Michael Ryder. Mr. Ryder, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for failure to appear on receiving stolen property. And this is Frank Dickerson. Mr. Dickerson, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for theft of property 4. And meet Shatram Persaud. Mr. Persaud, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for a probation revocation on possession of marijuana 2nd and possession of a controlled substance. And take a look at Jennifer Treadwell. Miss Treadwell, last known to be living in Oxford. She's wanted for failure to appear on use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And last up in our lineup this week, Randall Poss. Mr. Poss, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted on a bond revocation for possession of a controlled substance and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And that's it for this week's lineup. If you know the whereabouts of these folks, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number, 256-238-1414.
All right, we are back. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show. We're going to talk about some property crimes that hopefully you can help us solve. But right now we're talking with Margaret Roberts, the chairman for The Right Place, a homelessness organization here in Anniston, Calhoun County, and really East Alabama now. We've got a fun event coming up with Night in New Orleans. But Margaret, as we went to the break, we were talking about the housing situation here locally in Anniston and Calhoun County, and a lot of people don't realize the lack of availability of affordable housing. I'm actually working with another organization where we recently hired someone and we're providing a housing allowance, and we had to come back and raise the housing allowance after seeing how the housing search went.
Right.
They're just really, this is a young person with a starting position, and there just wasn't housing that was appropriate and affordable. Well,
I did bring a few figures with me because I think they're interesting. And for our area, a family of 4 annual income, the average is $24,600. But based on a 2-bedroom, this is HUD's number, fair market rent would be basing income on $33,540, which means there's a gap of over $700. In other words, that family would need an additional $700 to find that 2-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
So there's a huge gap.
Yeah. So you'll see people that I know Lori, the director at The Right Place, has given us an example of an individual that was paying what some people would think is a reasonable amount for a small place to live, but then she discovered that this individual did not have electricity, did not have plumbing, didn't have the very basic things that we would expect a home to have, but that's all they could find
afford,
in
right?
that price range.
Exactly. That happens a lot, unfortunately. A lot of people are living on the edge, but so we're hoping that this fundraiser will do, a lot towards. It's not going to fix the problem, but we certainly are working towards finding and really helping people find affordable housing, and then also we look to hopefully develop more.
Let's talk about the fundraiser and how it got started.
Well, that's a neat story. Lori Floyd is our director, and she was in New Orleans at Pat O'Brien's, and she met Victoria. And Victoria has a little bit of a connection to Anniston because she has friends here. So she was very interested in meeting Lori and finding out about The Right Place. And she told Lori, if there's anything I can do to help you, I would love to. And Lori took her up on it, and that was 3 years ago. And we did our first night in New Orleans, and it was a hit for sure. But the nice thing about Victoria is she wanted to get involved, and she's pretty much doing this on her own. I mean, we don't pay her to do this, so that's huge. Yeah.
And this is not just anybody on a piano. I'm not trying to knock other musicians, but this is somebody who.
I'm a pianist. I'm a pianist. Okay, I'm not able to play the way she does because she can play anything. I think it was the first night, somebody asked her for a song that she wasn't real familiar with. Well, when she took a little break, I see her over on her iPad listening to it. She comes back and plays it. So yeah,
Amazing.
she plays everything, and it's just fun. People get up and dance. There's a lot of moving around the room, so it's not stiff at all.
I'm looking forward to it. I've wanted to go ever since it first started, but every year it's happened. I've had something where I've been out of town or whatever, but I'll be there this year.
Good.
And really looking forward to that event and enjoying
I do
it.
want to mention tickets. The tickets are still available. Just call the right place. They're $65 for individual, $125 for a couple. We still do have a few sponsorships left. $1,000 table for 8. We'll get you 8 drink tickets, some goodie bags for everybody at the table, and of course dinner for 8. And then $500 sponsorship is a table of 4 with the equivalent. So again, we're very happy to have whoever come, and just call the right place for your tickets.
Yeah, or if you can't find them, just find me. And
That's right, or me.
Margaret. And we will definitely make sure that you are able to get those tickets, and it'll be a lot of fun. Thank you, Margaret, for being here.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. We will be back in just a few moments. We'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show and our Crazy Criminal of the Week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask your help on the following cases. First up, between May 11th and May 27th, a residence on Highway 78 East was burglarized. Stolen from that property were plumbing fixtures and a Craftsman lawnmower trailer. And on May 29th, a breaking and entering report was filed for a vehicle located on Bradford Street in Anniston. On May 31st, a burglary occurred at a business on Cedar Springs Road in Jacksonville. A large amount of currency and numerous cartons of Marlboro and Newport cigarettes were stolen. And sometime between May 29th and May 31st, a residence and a car located on Highway 78 East in Anniston were broken into. Items stolen from that location were a wallet, 2 laptops, assorted silver jewelry, assorted power tools, a PS3, a shop vac, and various other items. And last up on your Crime Stoppers caseload this week, between May 31st and June 1st, a car was burglarized while parked at a residence on Prickett Trail in Jacksonville. A Michael Kors purse and an LL Bean wallet were stolen from that vehicle. That's it for your Crime Stoppers cases this week. If you have any information on these, and we hope you do, please give Crime Stoppers a call at 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Yeah, sometimes, John, you see a business and you wonder, how are they still in business?
Yeah.
And occasionally,
I've
the
been
answer
thinking
is
that
because
about
their
you,
business is not really what they... Thanks. Sometimes that can be a clue that the business is not quite right. If you see a VHS rental store in 2019, it may not really be a videotape rental store.
Yeah, retro store.
In Gwinnett County, Georgia, there is a video rental store that people seem to be going in and out of quite often, but they weren't coming out with videotapes in their hands.
Also a clue.
And so an undercover officer goes in, and the newest video on the shelves is from 2009, which is probably when they stopped making VHS tapes. I don't know. I don't know if vinyl can come back, VHS can come back, right?
I've got a bunch of VHS tapes.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to play it on.
It turns out that they were running an illegal gambling operation in there, so you could go in and instead of renting a video, you could place a wager on a sporting event.
Oh, well, there you go.
So they have now busted that place and shut it down. It's amazing to me that they noticed what was going on, or that something was going on anyway, back in January, and it's taken until this point. I would think you'd be able to close that down a little bit quicker.
It takes a while. You never know.
We'll be nice to them.
We'll be
All right.
nice.
But thank you for tuning in. If you missed part of the show and you want to watch the entire program, you can go to tv24.tv, and to the on-demand section of the website, you can see this episode or other episodes of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Or if you just want to see this week's lineup or the Crime Stoppers segment with the different property crimes that we want your help with, those are available on our Facebook page as well, so you can go check those out anytime you want to. Just search for Calhoun County Sheriff's Office on Facebook. John, thank you again for another good week.
And you. And thank everybody else for helping us bring some folks to justice. You call, we haul.
We'll be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup and probably not in a VHS rental store on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.